Garlic Jr. returns, but so did Turles, although it was Dr. Wheelo piloting his body. And Lord Slug showed up too. The threat of the androids and Cooler is on the horizon. We'll be covering all that and more in this third part of What If Everything Was Canon. Trunks messed up the timelines by time traveling. He didn't realize how much he was doing it, but this did alter things. Now, in the future version of the events in this story, what happened was everything went the same as it went so far. Then Cooler came to Earth and was killed by Goku. But after that, Goku died of the heart virus and the androids arrived. So after Cooler, the androids were the only threat Trunks' timeline was facing. Even with the other changes so far, the androids were too strong for him to defeat and too strong for Gohan to defeat. But they know nothing of what lies beyond the androids because now the timelines diverge. They await Cooler's arrival, but he doesn't show up right away. Trunks doesn't even know exactly when he showed up, just saying that it wasn't long after Mecha Frieza. But it takes a bit of time. Months pass and nothing. Vegeta's already a Super Saiyan, but he decides to leave Earth and go train further. Seeing Kakarot fight again made him realize that Kakarot's in a league of his own. He doesn't need to catch up with the form though, just in terms of power. So he leaves Earth for a little bit. And a few months after the arrival of Mecha Frieza, this is when we'll say Cooler comes to Earth. He decided to take a little bit of extra time. He knows the target that he's looking for, and he wants to be extra sure that he's strong enough to fight him. So he did a little bit of extra training. But let's take a brief little detour here. So after the Cooler movie, things get really weird. Funny enough, Cooler is the easiest movie to fit into the story besides Wrath of the Dragon maybe. It happens after Trunks comes to the past and when Goku's back on Earth. But weirdly enough, Goku doesn't use Super Saiyan until the very end of the movie, and seemingly he needs to be pushed into it, despite already having a grasp on the form at this point. And Gohan looks like his Namek self and has his tail back. Vegeta's also not present in the movie, which fits with him being in space at this point. So as I've been saying so far, and I will be continuing to say throughout the story, the movies don't make sense as is, but we're going to make sense of them in our own ways. Goku goes on a camping trip with Gohan and Krillin, and Cooler crashes this camping trip. Out of nowhere, there's a surprise attack. The armored squadron goes for Goku and Gohan, and Goku easily fends them off, but then he's hit by a sneak attack from someone. While in base and off guard, Goku's hit by a powerful I-beam from Cooler, badly injuring him and incapacitating him for the time being. Gohan then gets ready to fight, and then a blast is launched from not too far away. Piccolo's also nearby. He's not part of the camping trip, but he was sparring with them recently. Krillin gets Goku to a safe place, and he needs to go procure a Senzu Bean or two. Thankfully, Gohan's able to distract everyone while Goku gets away, as he then becomes a Super Saiyan himself, and Goku gets a glimpse of the true villain, Cooler. They already knew to expect him, and then Piccolo yells out to him too, calling Cooler by his name and saying that they're pretty prepared. Well, Cooler is surprised that they knew he'd come here and they even know who he is, but clearly they're not as prepared as they should be. And yeah, because that was a sneak attack, but in terms of strength, they think they've got this. As a Super Saiyan, Gohan wipes out the armored squadron, with very little effort, as he and Piccolo then go in to attack Cooler together. Now Cooler is surprised to see another Super Saiyan here. He knows that there was one that defeated Frieza, but there are 3 other Super Saiyans, Vegeta, Gohan, and then Trunks, who came from the future and was the one to actually kill Frieza, as well as King Cold. Cooler fights these two in base for a bit. He's easily able to get Piccolo out of the fight, defeating him, and then it's a 1v1 between him and Gohan. Gohan's strength actually eclipses Cooler's at the moment, which really surprises him, but he's not going to be beaten by a kid. The battle continues on for a little bit longer, and Gohan gets a lot of good attacks in, but as Gohan prepares to finish it off, Cooler then grabs Gohan by his face, and he simply tells him,
"You should feel honored. You're the first, and soon to be the last, to witness my ultimate transformation."
Gohan tries to escape Cooler's grasp, but his arms grow larger, his body grows larger, and he grows a lot stronger. Cooler's final form isn't a surprise for them. While Trunks didn't have a lot of info on the Cooler fight, he does know that Cooler had one extra transformation. But what surprises Gohan is how strong he is. Cooler's transformation completes, and then he drops Gohan out of his hand and punts him high up into the air. Cooler then rockets up into the sky, too fast for Gohan to react, flying way above Gohan, and then launching down to the surface. He plants his foot right on Gohan, kicking him right into the earth. And with the single attack, he knocks Gohan completely unconscious, defeating him with ease, as Gohan's left planted in the ground. Nearby, Krillin and Goku sensed all of this. Goku's obviously really concerned, but thankfully Krillin was able to get another Senzu Bean for him, and he has one extra. From what they could tell, Piccolo seems to be out of the fight, but he's at least okay. Gohan, on the other hand, is probably a lot more injured, so Goku tells Krillin to get Gohan that other Senzu Bean and get him to safety. Goku also communicates with Piccolo to confirm this, and Piccolo's injured but not unconscious. He asks Goku if he needs help, but Goku says he doesn't. Honestly, he's not even sure if anyone can help him right now. Cooler does seem stronger than he expected. Goku powers up into Super Saiyan, placing 2 fingers on his forehead, and then teleporting right to Cooler. Cooler floats there, scanning the area, trying to find where Goku and Krillin went. But he doesn't need to look far, as Goku appears in front of him. And seeing Goku firsthand, he's just disappointed. Disappointed in Frieza mainly. Goku asks if he means because Frieza lost, and he says partially because of that, but mainly because he got sloppy. He was supposed to eradicate all the Saiyans, but clearly he did a terrible job at that. He had Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz as part of his army. And Vegeta's still alive to this day. Meanwhile, that baby escaped from planet Vegeta. It must be Goku, isn't it? And Goku doesn't remember much of his past, but yeah, that was probably him. And look at this. 2 Saiyans lived. For all he knows, Frieza probably let other Saiyans escape too. He wouldn't be surprised if there were even more Saiyans out there. So that's what this is about. Getting rid of the Saiyans, just like his brother. And Cooler says not exactly. Of course, he's not really fond of Saiyans, but he's mainly trying to clean up Frieza's mess and make sure no one gets in his way as ruler of the universe. Look how it turned out for Frieza. He wasn't able to do that. He feels his spoiled brother had everything handed to him, while Cooler forged his own destiny through his own hard work. And without Frieza now, he has no competition either, besides the Super Saiyans. He says he wasn't born with the same great power that his brother had, but he doesn't need it. He worked for his power. And unlike Frieza, he's not complacent. He actually enjoys training and growing stronger. Goku says the two of them aren't so different. It's a shame Cooler's not a good guy. Cooler's glad to hear that. Even though Goku brought shame upon his family, he at least appreciates Goku's ideology as a warrior. But that doesn't change the fact that he needs to die. Each of them assumes a battle stance and vanishes from sight as they start clashing midair. Watching from far away is Krillin, who's now with Piccolo and is finding Gohan. But that worries them. Goku should be stronger than anyone. And on top of that, Cooler's definitely more durable. They've seen the types of attacks that Frieza could survive. Cooler's not showcasing his full power. He might be stronger than Goku. Maybe not by a lot, but enough to make a difference. And as the fight goes on, this becomes more apparent. Krillin's able to find Gohan and gives him a senzu, getting Gohan back to full health. The issue is he only had these 2, so they don't have any more, and Piccolo's in pretty bad shape, so he's not going to be fighting. Cooler is slowly starting to overcome Goku's power, and Gohan says he needs to help. Goku told Krillin to get Gohan to safety, but he's not going to stop Gohan here. Gohan's stronger than him and Piccolo. It's not like they could stop him anyways, and maybe it would benefit Goku for him to help. Gohan says he could fight for himself and defend himself after all. He powers back up into Super Saiyan. Goku continues to fend off Cooler, but is slowly losing ground. And then Cooler is hit by a surprise attack from Gohan. He grew stronger from healing as well. But on top of that, his power with Goku should be enough to turn the tide of the battle, and Goku's glad to see him join here. It's a shame he can't beat Cooler alone, but they need to beat him nonetheless, no matter what it takes. The father-son duo starts to fight together, with Cooler getting completely overwhelmed. He can't believe it. Had he known there were multiple Super Saiyans, he would have taken far more time to prepare. It's a good thing Vegeta's not here either. Cooler at least admires their teamwork though. Perhaps if he had fought alongside Frieza, he wouldn't go out like this. But he's not going to accept his death like this. With all of his might, Cooler charges a supernova, throwing it at the 2 Saiyans. But simultaneously, they launch a father-son Kamehameha, effortlessly knocking Cooler's blast back, hitting it right into him, as Cooler is sent rocketing out into space, flying into the sun. And with this final attack, Goku and Gohan are victorious. Cooler's been defeated. Or so it seems. So, all of the upcoming movies are weird to fit in. Now, obviously this What If is about everything being canon, so you guys know that the Metal Cooler movie, the Android 13 movie, and the Broly movie are all going to happen, as well as plan to eradicate the Saiyans. This is where the timelines get really weird though. Metal Cooler happens after Dende becomes Guardian, and while Goku's still alive. So the only place that would fit in is during the 10 days before the Cell games, but Trunks isn't around in that movie and Gohan doesn't have Super Saiyan. Android 13 came out after the Metal Cooler film, but weirdly enough, it's stated to take place before Cell becomes perfect, though after Jiro's death, as well as 17 and 18 being activated and Goku recovering. This movie does not fit in the main timeline either. Broly also should occur during the 10-day wait too, as Trunks is present, Goku's alive, and Gohan has Super Saiyan. And then plan to eradicate the Saiyans happens after Broly, but it also should happen, you guessed it, during the 10 days before the Cell games. That seems like a really annoying 10 days, but anyways, as for Android 13, that seems to kind of happen in its own place, while the other 3 films happen between that 10-day wait. Of course, I know of the whole idea that these things take place in alternate timelines or whatever, which is why the contradictions exist, but we do want to piece everything together, so we need to figure out when these actually take place. Since I'm doing my own thing with the story and how everything fits in, I'm not strictly adhering to all that, I'm just explaining it to all of you so you know where they originally should fall. Just keep that in mind as we go forward with the next arc, because now we enter the Android and Cell saga, and it's going to be a really long arc. The time skip ends, Vegeta's back on Earth, and the androids arrive. At least, androids 19 and 20. Now thankfully, everything right now goes pretty much the same. Goku will still succumb to the heart virus, the encounter with Jiro in 19 goes normal, and then eventually Jiro escapes, activating 17 and 18, who then kill him and activate Android 16. A ton of other things did change beforehand, but right now, the only big change here is that Gohan has Super Saiyan already. None of the other movies have majorly affected how this would start. Trunks is surprised to see that the androids are stronger than his timeline. pretty much like normal. What they don't realize is that all hell is about to break loose. Dr. Gero has 2 other projects in store. It looks like he had a lot of backup plans, but they don't even know about it. So what has Dr. Gero been doing? With all these other movies going on, surely he has more data, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. So originally, Gero stops collecting data after the Saiyan saga, at least for the main androids, so the only extra thing he has data on is Garlic Jr. But that's for him personally. And he probably doesn't have data on Turles, but since he was on Earth at the time and saw the planet basically dying, I'm sure he'd at least know something went on there, even if he didn't get great data from it. But as for his supercomputer, that was collecting a lot more data. The supercomputer has data from all the other fights. Turles, Wheelo, the other Garlic Jr. fight, Slug, Mecha Frieza and King Cold, and of course Cooler. It collected DNA from all those fights, but the supercomputer isn't just working on Cell. Bulma locates a decrepit time machine. They're not sure what it is, but Kami has sensed some monster lurking about for a while, and he also merges with Piccolo at this time. Piccolo's gonna encounter whatever Kami sensed. The supercomputer has just completed its first project, unbeknownst to everyone. 16, 17, and 18 may have been failures in Gero's eyes, but it looks like the stars aligned for Gero. Piccolo first encounters Cell, and he's still stronger than him, and it causes Cell to run away, but something's really terrifying about him. Of course, he's terrifying as is, but he's got way more DNA than he should. Now, just because he has all the extra DNA doesn't mean he's going to be incredibly stronger. Probably a bit stronger, but not enough where he'd beat Piccolo. But Piccolo could feel the ki of so many others. That's because he has a few extra components. Garlic Jr.'s DNA, Turles' DNA, Lord Slug's DNA, and Cooler's DNA. Piccolo could sense the ki from all of these people, but there's also somebody else in there. On top of the other allies he could sense, he feels Gohan's ki too. And honestly, Gohan's probably the biggest addition here due to his potential. DNA was collected from Gohan because he became a Super Saiyan so early, so obviously that's a great opportunity. Add that on top of the fact that he has the DNA of Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Frieza, and King Cold. Dr. Wheelo didn't have any useful DNA to obtain, but Cell also notes that Gero's drones found his old lab and stole all the data from that, so the knowledge of Cochin and Wheelo are part of him as well. Not that it really amounts to much though, thanks to Gero. This Cell has way more variety in his techniques, and much more knowledge. He ends up escaping from Piccolo, but at least they now know about him and that he's going to absorb the other androids. Trunks and Krillin go back to Gero's lab, trying to find the basement where present Cell is. They need to at least destroy him, and while they're at it, maybe they could find some blueprints to see if they could do anything about the other androids. But as they get closer to the lab, they see 3 figures moving. Instantly they're pretty terrified and they hide, completely hiding their ki. They hope whoever those 3 people are don't notice them. And it's a little far away so they can't see, but the 3 figures don't really look too human. Now, one of them actually does look like a regular human. The other 2 definitely not, but even with how far away they are, they could still make out something on their clothing. A distinct, red-shaped ribbon. It couldn't be. 3 more androids? That makes no sense to Trunks. There's only 2 androids in his future. It's already weird enough that they had 19 and 20, as well as android 16 here, but who are these 3? Their worst fears are realized. Androids 13, 14, and 15 are complete. Meaning, there are currently 7 androids on the loose. Did Trunks cause this by time traveling? The other 3 androids leave, and Krillin and Trunks swoop in, quickly going to the lab, trying to find anything they can. They find the supercomputer that created these 3 androids, and it looks to be working on Cell as well. They destroy Cell, and find blueprints for the other androids. But they can't find any on those 3 because they were made by the supercomputer. There was no blueprints to begin with. That was all made automatically. But they know the names of them. That's really it though. So are all 7 of these androids allies? Are they going to be working against each other in factions? Is one going to try and overpower them all? They have no clue. And as the androids go around Earth, there is one more mechanical menace in development. Cooler's remains float through space. He was almost completely destroyed, but there's pieces of him left. And those chunks of Cooler come into contact with something strange. With that, we'll leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What's going to happen next? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.